Hi guys, it's Eileen from Bates Photography. There's some wind going and therefore some wind chimes in the background, so I apologize. I just wanted to come in today to see if you guys wanted a super quick and easy raised garden bed idea. Here it is, 5 ingredients. And all we did was buy, if you can see here, the legs, 2 regular cinder blocks per leg. And that's enough weight and sturdy enough to hold this trough from Home Depot. And this size is a 6 foot, I want to say 6 foot by 2 foot, and it's a foot tall. So there it is. Within 10 minutes you can set up a raised garden bed. Now, as far as cost goes, these troughs are kind of expensive. I think these from Home Depot were $130 each, and then just the cost of the cinder block, I think it's like $3 or $4 for each block. But the price of wood right now is absolutely insane, as you all know. And so when we were thinking of building them, and my husband isn't feeling well at all, so it's tough because we're like, do we do that labor, put all this money out for wood, or do we figure out something that you can just have it ready in just a few minutes? So this was our solution. And obviously, if you guys saw our Garden 2023 plans, this is still a work in progress. We got these all set up and finally got this stone put in here. It was actually, we had stone here, but we had stone all around the former pool. So I was shoveling along, along this edge here, trying to get the stone in. Actually, my husband has a video of me shoveling. Check this out. That was an intense workout. I think I shoveled for maybe 40 minutes, and I was taking rests in between, and my muscles have been sore for days. But we put in a little sweat equity to get this all ready here. And if anybody's wondering, these little flower pots here, these were from Walmart. They are plastic. And speaking of the stone, we just filled the base with stone, and that is our plan, to fill up these troughs with this red shale stone as well, because it's a simple solution to kind of, you want to fill up the space, because soil is expensive, so you want to figure out a way to use what you have before you dump in your bags of soil. Now we are about to drill these holes here. And my husband says I like to use the we word, but my husband is going to be drilling some holes. We're going to do that prior to putting in the stone for the beds, and that way they can properly drain, because this is the work, the only effort as far as once this is set up in place, you do have to drill holes, that's all. And he will be back to show you how to do that.
Eileen indicated before, I'm having some medical issues. And it's something that's interfering with my daily life, but it's something that's life-threatening. I basically, on top of Lyme disease, I have now developed, it's like an autoimmune involving long-term type 2 diabetes. And it's basically amyotrophic peripheral neuropathy. The nerves basically get fatigued very quickly, and I just start losing control of my legs, and I'll fall, or I'll go down, or I'll do a little bit of work like this, 20-minute bouts, and then I find myself having to be in bed for a day. But it's good. My faith has taught me many times over that all suffering has purpose. One day, maybe I'll know what that is, but I'm all good. And I'm getting through the day where God allows me to come out here and toil for a bit, and then I go inside. This is why I now have to crack the whip and get Eileen shovel and stone. But we have watering troughs with a bottom. Problem is, we live in a warm, humid climate. Even though it's New Jersey, we're zone 6 in the summer, it can be very humid, very muggy, as my mother used to say. And there's a lot of, when you're dealing with soil that's going to trap moisture, you're dealing with potential soil-borne fungus issues, root rot, all sorts of things where you really want good drainage. So the solution is going to be, we're going to drill some holes. Now, my grandfather was a farmer way back in the day. His farm is where, if you're from South Jersey, the Morristown Mall now sits. And the one thing I remember, even as a child, even setting up planter boxes for my grandmother, he would always line the bottom with stone. And what he would say is, you go through the trouble to drill holes only for soil or things to clog the holes, and now they're not doing their purpose. So I have a 1/4-inch bit here, and we have a plethora where they remove the pool here, and I still have to figure out what we're doing with all this stone. We have all this 3/4-inch shale. Now, the important thing is, you want to make sure your stone is bigger than your hole. Certainly you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy bags of that real beautiful pea pebble and dump in here. Well, the problem is they're going to sit in that hole from a perfect plug. So you want something jagged like lava rock or shale, and certainly bigger than your hole. So I have these sitting on cinder blocks. So I really just want to go around the perimeter, and then we'll drill a couple of small holes. Again, I think a 1/4-inch bit is big enough that it's not going to clog easily, but small enough it's not going to let your contents fall out. So if you have a nice sharp bit, you want to be careful not to drill where the cinder block is, because that'll ruin the tip of your bit, and well, you're going to Lowe's to get a new bit. So just standard high-speed cordless drill. Pressure straight down. You even use your thumb to kind of push harder. And it goes right through. If you have a high-speed drill and a nice sharp bit, you're not going to get a bunch of curly Q metal shards you can cut yourself on. And I'll go about a foot apart all the way around. As long as I'm sticking to the outer edge, the cinder blocks aren't a problem. So there's roughly cinder blocks here and cinder blocks here. So as I go all the way around, I'm also going to put just a couple across the center, where I'm not. So here's the center of the bin, here's the seam, so I know there's no cinder blocks here. The more pressure you can put, the faster it goes, and just be careful. So I'll continue this circle all the way around with some of my center ones. Come over here, I have one done. So here we have holes around the perimeter, and we have our couple in the center. I just put a little bit in here to show you. You just want a thin layer. You're not looking to build this up 4, 5, 6 inches. Now you're losing planting space. So if you just take, again, we have this red shale from the pool. It doesn't matter if it has bits and nuggets in it, none of that matters. You're about to fill it with soil. But just a thin coating is all you need. You're not looking to build it up. You're just looking to create an area where the water can drop out of the soil and then move out to the drain holes. Quick and simple. So you drill your holes, about a 1/4-inch hole, use 3/4-inch rock of any type you want, just a thin layer. And what that creates is a boundary that the dirt will sit on. Some will filter out and pack in, but you're really not supposed to really pack your dirt when you're planting in raised beds. It'll sit on top, it'll fall through the stone, and then move its way out to the drain holes. And because we repurposed these railroad ties and created this stone area here from the stone from the pool, even if some soil does leach through and drop out, it's just going to wash right through these stones and not cause a big muddy mess, which is why it's good to either have landscape fabric or stone or some sort of a drainable surface when you're doing raised beds like this. So you're not dealing with a bunch of mud underneath you're walking through or walking around. And then you have that weed permeation. My grandfather, this was always his thing. As a farmer, he knew about drainage in New Jersey, how important it was. And he always put a layer of stone in every flower pot, everything he ever did. If he was just planting tomatoes in the ground in his backyard, he would make sure he'd dig deep, add a layer of sand, then fill it with the soil, plant the plants. He was big on drainage, and that's where I kind of get it from. Maybe it's not necessary, but that's just how I was brought up by a farmer. So when you're drilling your holes, one thing to think about, if you're using in-bed irrigation, water will kind of create a path of least resistance. So what you do want to be mindful of, if you know you're putting in some sort of a drip system or an irrigation system, is be mindful of your holes not maybe being directly under your drip, because it could eventually develop a path where it's dripping right through the soil and right out of the hole. It's not necessarily how that works, but that is a potential. So if you do know for sure you're going to have drip irrigation or some sort of irrigation, make sure you offset your holes a little bit from where your nozzles are going to be, just to ensure it's not finding a path that goes straight down to the hole and out without spreading through the dirt. Stay tuned. I don't know how often you'll be seeing me, but we will be seeing you in the next video. Have a good one.